Most people believe that if they just work 10% harder, they'll eventually reach that 1% lifestyle. But the math of the burnout economy says otherwise. In fact, in today's system, pushing yourself to the limit might actually be the very thing keeping you broke. Here is the hidden economic trap that rewards your exhaustion but never your bank account, and how to actually escape it. Picture this. You get a raise, $5,000 more a year. You feel that little rush of pride walking into work the next Monday. And then, within about 90 days, that raise is gone. Not stolen, not taxed away entirely, just quietly absorbed. Rent went up $200 because your lease renewed. Your car payment crept from $380 to $420 because you upgraded after the old one started making a noise. Groceries cost 11% more than they did 2 years ago. And somehow, even though your income went up, your bank account feels exactly the same or worse. That's not bad luck. That's a system working exactly as designed. And if that sounds familiar, if you're earning more than you used to but you still feel like you're one car repair away from panic, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, because that feeling is the entire subject of this channel. My name is Ely, and I spend way too much time thinking about how people in the United States experience money psychologically. Not spreadsheets, not stock tickers. The actual felt experience of having a paycheck that looks fine on paper but doesn't feel fine in your chest. If you're someone who earns a normal income, maybe even more than you used to, but still doesn't feel financially secure, you are exactly who this video is for. Here's the thing. We've been sold a very tidy story about money. Work hard, get promoted, earn more, feel more secure. It's linear. It's clean. It's also mostly false for a huge percentage of working Americans right now. According to Federal Reserve survey data on household economic well-being, a significant share of adults still say they could not cover an unexpected $400 expense using cash or its equivalent. Let that sit for a second. Not $400,000, $400. And this isn't only true for minimum wage workers. It shows up in households earning $75,000, $90,000, sometimes over $100,000 a year. Income and security have quietly become two different things, and almost nobody tells you that directly. Now look, if income and security were the same thing, every raise would feel like relief. But most people who get raises describe the opposite. A strange flatness. Maybe even guilt, like they should feel better than they do. This is where it gets interesting, because the explanation isn't really economic. It's psychological, and it has a name most people have never heard applied to their own paycheck. It's called the hedonic treadmill, and it was originally studied in the context of happiness, not money. The idea is simple. Humans adapt shockingly fast to improved circumstances, and then recalibrate what normal feels like. You get a raise, your baseline shifts upward almost instantly, and within weeks the new number just feels like the floor, not a bonus. The gain disappears psychologically before you've even had time to enjoy it. Here's what most people don't realize. The treadmill isn't just emotional. It's structural, and corporate America has built entire pricing models around it. Take rent. The National Multifamily Housing Council and various market reports have shown landlords using algorithmic pricing tools that adjust rent based on local income data, sometimes literally raising asking rents in neighborhoods where average incomes just went up. Your raise isn't a secret. It's data, and in some markets, it gets priced in before you've even spent it. Same with cars. The average new car payment in the U.S. has been hovering close to $700 a month according to recent Edmunds and Cox automotive reporting, and average loan terms have stretched past 6 years because dealers know exactly how much monthly payment the average income can psychologically tolerate. They're not guessing. They're pricing against your paycheck in real time. So here's the uncomfortable math. Let's say you earn $75,000 a year. You get a 6% raise, $4,500 before tax, maybe $3,200 after tax, and after your 401k contribution. Sounds great. Except your rent renewal adds $2,400 a year. Your health insurance premium, which the Bureau of Labor Statistics tracks as rising faster than wages in most years, adds another $600. Groceries, which have climbed by double digits over the last several years according to BLS Consumer Price Index data, add another $800. You're not behind because you're bad with money. You're behind because the cost of simply existing rose faster and quieter than your raise did. On paper, you got richer. In practice, you got treaded on. Now you might be thinking, okay, So the system is rigged. So what do I actually do with that information? And that's fair, because understanding the trap without a way out is just a more sophisticated form of doom scrolling. So let's talk about why working harder specifically fails to fix this. And then let's talk about what actually does. Working harder fails because it treats a psychological problem as an income problem. If your stress comes from feeling behind, more income without a change in behavior just moves the goalposts further out while your nervous system stays exactly as anxious as before. This is backed by something researchers at the American Psychological Association have repeatedly found in their Stress in America survey work. Money has remained one of the top-cited sources of stress for adults for over a decade, and notably, that stress does not decline in a straight line as income rises. It plateaus. People earning $90,000 a year report financial anxiety levels that are, in many surveys, uncomfortably close to people earning $50,000. The dollar amount changed. The felt experience of scarcity didn't. Here's why. Humans don't evaluate money in absolute terms. We evaluate it in relative terms, compared to our recent past and compared to the people around us. This is sometimes called reference dependence, and it explains a lot of quietly miserable financial behavior. If your neighbor upgrades their kitchen, your kitchen suddenly looks dated, even though nothing about your kitchen changed. If your coworker mentions their Disney trip, your modest staycation suddenly feels like a consolation prize. Your financial reality didn't get worse. Your reference point moved, and your brain treats that shift as loss, even when your actual bank balance is unchanged. This is why lifestyle creep is so dangerous. It's not about weakness or bad discipline. It's your brain doing exactly what it evolved to do, comparing your position to your surroundings, in an environment specifically engineered through advertising, social media, and neighborhood pricing to make you feel perpetually behind. Let's bring in a metaphor, because this concept lands better with one. Think of your financial stress like a thermostat, not a bucket. A bucket fills up and stays full. A thermostat resets to whatever temperature it's programmed for, no matter how much heat you pump in. Most people are trying to fill a bucket with more income, more hours, more side hustles, when the real issue is the thermostat. The internal set point for what feels like enough keeps recalibrating upward every time their circumstances improve. You can pour endless heat into a room with a rising thermostat, and it will never actually feel warmer. That's the burnout economy in one image. Effort goes in, comfort doesn't come out, because the target keeps moving before you arrive. This is where it gets genuinely interesting, because once you see the thermostat instead of the bucket, the entire strategy changes. The goal is no longer simply earn more. The goal becomes interrupting the recalibration itself, and that is something almost nobody in mainstream finance content talks about, because it's not about products, investments, or hacks. It's about behavior at the moment income increases. Here's a practical way to do that. When you get a raise, before you feel it, before your spending patterns absorb it, redirect a fixed percentage automatically, the same day the raise lands, into something you cannot easily see day to day, a separate savings account, an increased retirement contribution, an account you don't have a debit card for. The Bureau of Labor Statistics has shown that Americans consistently underestimate how quickly new income gets absorbed into everyday spending once it becomes visible in a checking account. The fix isn't willpower. Willpower is exhausting and unreliable specifically because you're fighting a recalibrating thermostat every single day. The fix is removing the decision entirely, moving the money before your brain gets a chance to treat it as available. Second, and this one is less obvious, actively lower the number of financial comparisons you're exposed to daily. Not as some vague self-help platitude, but as a literal, structural intervention. If your Instagram and TikTok feeds are full of renovation reveals, luxury hauls, and day in my life, spending content, your reference point is being manipulated dozens of times a day by people whose financial reality you don't actually know. Researchers studying social comparison theory have found that passive social media consumption specifically correlates with increased financial dissatisfaction, even when actual income and net worth remain unchanged. You're not comparing your life to reality. You're comparing your life to a highlight reel engineered to make everyone watching feel slightly behind. Third, separate identity from income entirely, because this is where the deepest stress usually lives. A lot of financial anxiety isn't actually about the number in the account. It's about what that number seems to say about you, your competence, your worth, your progress compared to peers from college, compared to your parents at your age, compared to some imagined version of yourself that should be further along by now. That comparison is almost never fair because it ignores different starting points, different cities, different family support, different luck. Divorcing your self-worth from your account balance doesn't mean stop caring about money. It means stop treating every fluctuation in that number as a referendum on your character. Fourth, define a specific number for enough in writing, not a vague feeling, an actual figure tied to actual expenses, actual goals, actual timelines. Vague financial anxiety thrives on undefined targets because an undefined target can never be reached. If you don't know what stability looks like in dollars, no amount of income will ever register as sufficient because the finish line was never drawn. Write it down. Revisit it every few months. Let it be boring and specific instead of dramatic and abstract. Now here's the quiet realization underneath all of this. The burnout economy doesn't need you to fail. It just needs you to keep running, keep striving, keep feeling slightly behind. Because a population that feels perpetually insecure keeps working overtime, keeps saying yes to extra shifts, keeps upgrading, keeps comparing, keeps consuming, and never quite stops to ask why the finish line keeps moving. Rest, in that sense, becomes almost rebellious. Contentment with a defined, sufficient amount becomes the actual escape hatch, not a bigger number. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Working harder inside a system built to recalibrate your expectations upward will never produce the safety you're chasing, because the system was never designed to let you arrive. Safety comes from interrupting the recalibration itself, automating the redirection of new income before your brain adapts to it, limiting the comparisons feeding your sense of behind, separating who you are from what you earn, and defining enough in real terms instead of chasing a feeling that keeps sliding out of reach. You don't need to work harder. You need to stop feeding a thermostat that was never going to warm the room. That's the actual math behind the burnout economy. And once you see it, you can't really unsee it. If this reframed the way you think about your own paycheck, stick around, because this channel exists entirely to keep pulling these patterns apart, one uncomfortable, useful realization at a time.